Hello, Scorpio. You don't need fireworks to know when a storm is coming. You feel it in your bones before the sky even shifts. And right now, somewhere inside you, a truth has been whispering, softly but insistently, that something is ending. And it is. June 30th, 2025 is not just a turning point. It's an unveiling, a sacred dismantling of the layers you've so skillfully crafted to keep yourself safe, protected, untouchable. Because no one builds walls like a Scorpio, and no one knows more intimately how exhausting it is to live behind them. You've carried your strength like a shield, quiet, precise control. You've worn your mystery like armor, but beneath the calm exterior, there's a storm you've silenced for too long. And on the last day of June, that silence begins to break. Not in chaos, but in revelation. A part of you, the part that has learned to survive by staying hidden, will no longer accept invisibility as protection. This isn't a collapse, it's a rebirth. The illusions you've held about who you need to be in order to stay powerful, desired, in control, they are dissolving. And what will be revealed is not weakness, but a kind of honesty so sharp, so magnetic, it will terrify those who only knew your surface. You are being asked to meet yourself without the mask, without the distance, without the strategies. Raw, present, undeniably alive. And yes, it may feel like loss. The death of your former self always does. But underneath the shedding, there is a deeper intelligence at work. You are not unraveling because you are broken. You are unraveling because the soul you buried beneath your strength is ready to breathe. Let the world see you, not the curated version, not the survivor, not the one who always stays 2 steps ahead. Let them see the grief you never named, the softness you never trusted, the desire to finally be touched without flinching. Because your true power doesn't live in control. It lives in truth. And on June 30th, that truth will no longer wait quietly beneath the surface. Are you ready to let go of who you thought you had to be in order to become who you actually are? Scorpio, there is a force moving beneath the surface of your life right now. Not loud, not sudden, but persistent, like a quiet quake deep under the earth, waiting for its moment to break through. And on the final day of June, that force will rise. Not as an outside disruption, but as an internal eruption, a crisis that doesn't come to destroy you, but to unmask you. You've felt it coming in moments when silence felt too loud, in conversations where your smile didn't quite reach your eyes, in the places where success still left you feeling hollow. This is not coincidence. It is the early tremor of your identity preparing to shift. For too long, you've played the part perfectly. You've said the right things, shown the right strengths, hidden the bruises, edited your edges, and the world applauded. They believed in the version of you that always had it under control, always knew better, always moved with quiet precision. But you knew, deep down, you knew that so much of what you've built, relationships, admiration, even intimacy, was based on a version of yourself you curated to survive, not to live. You constructed a self that could not be rejected, a self that couldn't be hurt, and you wore it like a second skin. But that skin has become too tight, too false, too silent. On June 30th, that skin begins to crack. This will not be a gentle undoing. It will feel like a loss, and in many ways it is. The loss of who you thought you had to be, the death of the self you performed so others would stay close while never really seeing you. It is the end of the version of you that was digestible, polished, powerful in a way that was always slightly distant. And in its place, a truer self begins to emerge, one not armored by control, but softened by truth, not crafted for admiration, but offered in vulnerability, not powerful in appearance, but magnetic in essence. This new self won't demand the spotlight. It won't beg to be understood, but it will carry a different kind of gravity, the kind that draws others close, not because you are invincible, but because you are finally real. And that kind of present, Scorpio, is far more dangerous, far more luminous, and far more free than any mask you've ever worn. Let it rise, let it shake, let it rewrite you. Because what you're stepping into is not collapse. It is the sacred violence of rebirth. And you, of all signs, were never meant to live in half-truths. Scorpio, what's unfolding within you is not a punishment for the ways you've protected yourself. It's a gift, quiet, fierce, and absolutely sacred. This is not the universe tearing you down for being false. This is the universe trusting that you are finally ready to be real. And that readiness, that sacred ripening, marks a spiritual maturity that cannot be measured in external victories or praise. You are no longer here to impress. You are here to embody. As the hunger for applause begins to fade, something far more profound rises in its place. Self-recognition, not for what you've achieved, but for what you've survived, for the tenderness you buried, for the truths you silenced, for the instincts you once ignored in order to remain palatable. You'll start to notice that certain strengths within you, once cast aside as too soft, too risky, too hard to explain, are in fact the most essential parts of your power, the parts that don't just keep you alive, but bring you back to life. Your intuition, your ability to sit with darkness without flinching, your craving for depth, your loyalty that runs deeper than blood. These qualities are no longer hidden in the shadows of your strength. They will begin to rise. They will reshape how you speak, how you love, how you create, how you lead. And as they rise, so too will the life around you begin to shift. Relationships that once thrived on your silence may fall away. Jobs that once rewarded your ability to perform may start to feel suffocating. Spaces that once felt impressive may suddenly feel empty. You are not breaking down, you are breaking open. And perhaps the most beautiful part of this transformation is how it will change the way you see yourself. You'll no longer view your sensitivity as a weakness, your hesitations as flaws, or your emotional depths as burdens to be hidden. Instead, you'll begin to see them as evidence of your brilliance, gifts you were born with, waiting patiently for your courage to catch up. Because Scorpio, the world does not need your perfection. It needs your truth. It needs the version of you that feels, that listens, that surrenders, that dares to show up even when it's messy, raw, and unfinished. This transformation is not a chapter, it's a complete rewrite. And it will touch every part of your life, not to ruin what you've built, but to make space for something more honest, more aligned, more deeply yours. Trust this, even in the discomfort, especially in the discomfort, because what's being born through you is not a performance, it's a revelation. If there is one thing I can leave with you, it is this. Do not resist what is rising. Do not try to contain it, reshape it, or bargain with it. This process was never meant to be clean or convenient. It was meant to be honest. And trying to manage this transformation, to cling to parts of your identity that once kept you safe, to negotiate with the truth as if you can keep some illusions and still be free, will only place you in a space more painful than either full surrender or full denial. A space where you are neither truly yourself nor entirely hidden. A space where everything feels like performance but nothing feels complete. That is the ache of living in between. There is a quieter kind of bravery being asked of you now, not the kind that charges ahead, but the kind that pauses, listens, and allows. You are being called to notice the subtle yet powerful shifts within your body and soul. When do you feel most alive? When do you feel like you're performing? Which spaces leave you exhausted and which ones bring you back to yourself without effort? Which conversations feel like obligation and which ones feel like oxygen? These are not small questions. These are maps, and they will guide you not to someone else's idea of success, but to the truth of what your soul has been asking for all along. You do not need to be perfect to be powerful. You do not need to be impressive to be worthy of love. And you certainly do not need to keep living as a version of yourself that makes others comfortable while your own spirit slowly dims. Greatness was never meant to be sterile. It was never about flawlessness. It was never about being universally admired. True greatness lives in your willingness to be seen, truthfully, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's inconvenient, even when not everyone understands it. Scorpio, this is not the end of who you are. It is the beginning of who you've always been, beneath the layers. Let them fall. Let them burn if they must. Because on the other side of this, surrender is something stronger than control, freedom. And once you taste that kind of freedom, you will never again accept a life built on half-truths. Let it all be real. Let it all be yours. And so, Scorpio, as we step toward the final day of June, I ask you gently but directly, are you willing to let yourself be seen, not as the version you've performed, but as the soul you've quietly protected all this time? This is not just a cosmic event. It is a mirror held up by the universe, asking you to meet your own gaze without flinching, to stand there, not with defenses, not with accomplishments, but with your truth. This moment is not here to break you. It's here to release you from the roles, the expectations, the exhaustion of always needing to be more than human. Your rebirth doesn't require applause. It only requires honesty. And if your voice trembles as you speak your truth, if your hands shake as you take off the mask, know this: that trembling is sacred. That shaking is the sign that the old shell is cracking. Let it all fall away. And when you emerge raw and radiant, remember, your light was never meant to impress. It was meant to heal. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being brave. And if no one else tells you this, I see you, the real you. Until next time, Scorpio, stay soft, stay strong, stay true.